Hello UK fans, Matt here, and welcome to a deck profile with DDDs. It's an updated deck profile to include the Structure Deck 30 Pendulum Domination OCG deck that is coming out in the OCG soon, and it includes this new support like Siegfried, Orpheus, and Mutant and Copernicus, not to mention a new Dark Contract, and even Beowulf, which is a new fusion monster. But this support is very needed. It is very good. It gives the deck a lot more access to pendulum summoning that it really didn't have that much of because of its faulty scales being Kepler and Galilei, and they kill your monsters. Whereas now we have actual scales that can pendulum summon and do a lot of things like that. So that's fun, and I'm definitely enjoying the deck. It does have minor inconsistencies here and there. You can have bad hands, but every deck can have bad hands. So it's depending on your playstyle and what you would want to switch in to increase your consistency if you feel like it needs more. So yeah, this is the deck profile so far, so I'll go straight into it, and we have triple Ragnarok. Ragnarok is still in the deck at 3. I believe it is really powerful in this deck. It has two effects, if you didn't know. The first effect is in its pendulum scale. It can reborn a DDD monster when you special summon a DDD monster, but you take 1,000 damage, and all damage to your opponent is halved. So that can help if you're going to reborn the Arc or have the Arc on the board, because then you gain 1,000 life points. But you can't really OTK your opponent unless their life points are quite low. So it's a good card, but it's mainly a combo piece for your special summons to mass control over the board with your big beat sticks. And its second effect is I'm using this more commonly, is that when it's normal special summoned, it can special summon a DDD monster from your graveyard. And only DDD monsters, not your little guys like Copernicus or Baphomet. Only your big guys like Leonidas or any of your Fusion, Synchro, and Exceed set. So that is a limitation, but it gives you an instant Kali Yuga if you have another Ragnarok or a level 8 DDD monster in your graveyard. So that's always good. And it has the second effect of once per turn, tribute 1 DD monster, and you can target 1 monster your opponent controls and banish it. Doesn't destroy, it banishes, which is absolutely brilliant for getting over annoying cards like Shadow Fusion monsters, or monsters that can't be destroyed by battle, or monsters that can't be destroyed by card effect. You can use Ragnarok to clear them away, and it's a nice 3k defense and 2200 beat stick, so why shouldn't you use this at 3? Then we have 2 Leonidas. Originally I was using this as 3, but I've cut it down to 2 because the deck doesn't need it at 3 anymore. In the beginning we didn't have that much support, so Leonidas was so crucial for protecting ourselves from our own dark contracts. But now we have all this new support. Now we have more focus in the deck for Fusion, Synchro, Exceed, Pendulum, whatever you're wanting to do in the deck. Leonidas has kind of fallen a bit short, and it's more of a 2 of than a 3 of now in my perspective. I've also tried to use him as a pendulum scale at times to summon out probably Orpheus or Copernicus, depending on which I need or what I have available to me. So I don't really use the pendulum effect essentially, but it does have the effect of when you take effect damage while it's in exceptional damage step, you can destroy this card. If you do any effect damage that would inflict damage for this turn will turn into an increase. So a 1 turn D-Arc. So say you have 4 contracts out, these 4, and they're all going to give you 1,000 damage. You destroy your Leonidas, you take 1,000, and then you gain 3,000, which is good. But its second effect is a little bit bad because when you take effect damage, while it's a monster card, obviously, not when it's in the pendulum scale, you can special summon this card and then you gain life points equal to that damage you took. And then you take no effect damage as a permanent effect. This technically means you can technically put this as a side deck card for burn decks, but only if you're running reasoning in the deck. So that's nice. But essentially, you're going to reverse burn damage and protect yourself while you don't have the Arc on the board. So that's good, but it's still falling short because of the new aims of the deck. Then we have triple Mutant. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep this as triple. May reduce it by 1, but at least I'm going to keep it at 2 because it is a scale 10 that is not faulty, which is brilliant. Really neat for the deck because I do sometimes pendulum summon out Ragnarok, and that can help me, or Leonidas, depending on what situation I need it for. So it has the pendulum effect of that if a trap card would inflict damage to you, you can negate that effect and destroy this card. And that's good. It didn't destroy your Dark Contract, so that's good mainly, but you only have 2 Dark Contract trap cards that you would use it with, which are Witch and the Trapstone one, which is Seal Mistake, which I have currently dropped from the build and will be using side deck for this deck, which I'll show in a bit. But it can help you at times in that pendulum scale effect, but I mainly use it for its other effects. Is that when I can discard it, I can target one DD or Dark Contract card in your graveyard and add it to your hand, which is great because I can restore my Dark Contracts that I may have lost through something like Heavy Storm. Well, Heavy Storm like monsters, because there's so many of those rampant in Salvation at the moment, and you can restore my dead like Keplars that went to the graveyard, or dead Copernicuses, depending on what situation, or dead Night Howlings, which are more likely to be in the graveyard than the other two. So yeah, there is that, and it's quite good, but he does tend to clog at times, so I may be taking him down to 2 in the deck. I'm not sure what I'll put up to 3, or add another one in. Maybe bump up Night Howling, or bump up Baphomet, or Earthverse. But I have not decided yet. Probably when we get some more support for the deck, I will probably then show or do another deck profile for this anyway. So yeah, on to the next one, which is 1 DD Baphomet. I don't really want to draw this. I'd rather search it or send it to the graveyard. The ways of which I would do that is through my Dark Contract with the Gate to search it out if I'm going to send it to the graveyard with Spiral Slime as a fusion material, or I send it to the graveyard with Copernicus, so I can then combo it with Night Howling. The Baphomet's effect is you can target one DD monster you control and change its level from 1 to 8. So that is great, but you can only summon DD monsters for the rest of that turn. So it has hindrances. It makes it not as good as Gaga Magician, but it is a decent one for this deck. It's a nice one-off. I usually use it in combo with Night Howling. Night Howling will resurrect Baphomet. Baphomet will change Night Howling's level to 4, and then Synchro for either Siegfried or Exceed for Kaiser. So that's great. I do enjoy it for that reason. That's why it's a one-off in this deck now. Then there is 1 DD Orpheus. I may bump this up to 2, but I'm not 100% sure. But it is a great card nonetheless. It has 2 effects. Its pendulum effect is that when it's once per turn, you can target 1 spell or trap card on the field and 1 DD or Dark Contract you control and destroy them, which is great. It's technically an MST, well, double Cyclone in that sense, and can get rid of, say, a Dark Contract you don't want on the board, which is nice, or get rid of a DD monster you have out in the graveyard, like Necro Slime. So that has variability in how good it is, but it's good enough for what we need it. And its second effect, which is its monster effect, is when you take damage, you can special summon from your hand, and after you special summon this card, you cannot special summon monsters for the rest of the time except from theme types. So technically, this is the first pseudo pendulum tuner. Essentially, it doesn't have as much restriction as the Draco Slayer Luster Pendulum, because that stops you from summoning anything except from Draco Slayers as its tuning requirements. But Orpheus only limits you to fiends. There are some decent fiends in the actual scene at the moment. The main one being Cursed King Siegfried, but you could summon out Dark Highlander, which is quite good because it can stop synchro summoning, and if synchro summoning does become the meta in the future after probably a clown mass murder at that point, because it's the only way I can see it allowing synchros to be back in the game at full force, Ouroboros could become very good because you'd be able to summon that Dark Highlander. Although you probably would need another Fiend in the deck, so yeah, take away a pinch of salt. And it has 1800 defense, that's nice, and it's level 4 as well. Then we have triple Copernicus. Copernicus has 2 effects again, or like most pendulum cards. You cannot pendulum summon except from DD monsters. Both of those have that effect, so it can't be a nice generic scale 1 to 10. They never would let that happen. They've got magicians that is 1 to 8. That's as close as we're gonna get for the foreseeable future. And it has the same effect as Mutant, except just for spells, which has more playability because you have a lot more Dark Contracts that are spells that you'd rather use. So that's alright, but I wouldn't usually be using its effect for that. I would probably just use it as a scale. And its second effect, which is the best effect, is when it's normal or special summoned, send 1 DD or Dark Contract from your deck to your graveyard, which is great. Very good, because you can then load up your graveyard with Necro Slime or Spiral Slime, or you can send a Dark Contract and add it back with Mutant's effect, which is a nice combo in that sense, and it doesn't have to be just normal summoned, so you can say you have Spiral Slime in the graveyard, banish Spiral Slime to special summon Copernicus, Copernicus can send Baphomet, and then you can normal summon Night Howling reborns Baphomet changes level, gets Siegfried out, and you've had a Foolish Burial and a nice really powerful DevPro in the same turn, so that's great. Copernicus is good for that reason. And anyway, any deck that has a Foolish Burial, technically that card is going to be the best card in that deck, or at least one of the best cards in the deck, except for the Searching. Then we have 2 Night Howling, a card we don't have in the TCG unfortunately. We don't have a Mutant or Forest and Copernicus because these are the new support. We do have these in TCG and a Baphomet. But we don't have Night Howling, which is annoying, but we'll eventually get it. It will eventually be imported and we'll have it. And we'll be happy. Its effect is when it's normal summoned, you can target 1 DD monster in the graveyard, special summon it, when its attack becomes 0, and defense. And when it's destroyed, you take 1000 damage. And you can special summon for the rest of the turn except for feed types, which is a lot of restrictions. But it's quite good in the sense that I can now reborn Baphomet and synchro for this new Siegfried. It originally was just used to bring forth either Dark Highlander in my previous builds or Gale King Alexander, which is alright, but I've never liked this card from beginning to end. So I wouldn't go for this. I would generally go for Siegfried, which is the best option you now have. So Night Howling has more of a place in this deck for me, personally. Then we have 2 Max C's to combat the mass special summoning that most decks can now do these days. Even Monarch special summon, because they have to have Eartha, and then they go for Irreverus, and then they triple Shoken, and that at least gives 1 switch in, so technically you have an Upstart Goblin in that sense. Unless you drop it against, say, Synchro Quasar deck, and they think they have game and you can stop that, you make a massive amount of draws, and I've had that before, and it's very good for that sense. So 2 Maxi is needed in this current climate. And then we have triple Spiral Slime. Spiral Slime is one of the most key cards in the deck because it confuses someone from your hand by using it and a DD monster in your hand as well. So say like a polymerization in that sense. Just fuse from the hand. And then when it's in the graveyard, you can banish it to special summon a DD monster from your hand. So it has 2 very powerful effects, which are definitely needed, because then you can combo each, because you can then like fuse with Spiral Slime, send a Ragnarok, and then if you have another Ragnarok in hand, special summon that Ragnarok by banishing Spiral Slime, and that special summons the other Ragnarok, and then you can go for Kali-Yuga with a fusion monster on board, which is great. So a lot of plays you can do with this deck. 2 Necro Slime, because it basically has the same effect as Spiral Slime, but just not from the hand, from the graveyard instead, which is good. You can bring out any of your DD monsters except from Oblivion Kaiser Ragnarok, because it requires 2 DDD monsters and not like 1 of each, or both just DD monsters. So yeah, that's the only card we can't summon. But Necro Slime can summon anything else, that's fusion. So that's good. And I recently bumped it up to 2 again, because originally it was at like 2 in my original build. Then I bumped it down to 1. I've bumped it back up to 2 to take out Lilith, because I don't feel like I need Lilith anymore in the deck when I have my Mutants. So I go for Necroslime as another one, and I've had times when I've wanted 2 Necroslime, so I feel like I'm going to endorse Necroslimer 2 from the foreseeable future. Then we have Triple Kepler, one of the oldest supports for the deck. When it's normal special summoned, search out a Dark Contract from your deck to your hand. Or you use its effect to bounce back a Dark Contract, but you really don't use that effect. And I would not use its Pendulum effect because that Pendulum effect can't be negated, it restricts you to DD monsters to be Pendulum summoned, and it reduces the scale incrementally, and that will destroy monsters that are higher level than that, and that is annoying, very annoying indeed. So I would never use it as a Pendulum scale. I would always use it as a searcher. So yeah, when it gains that effect when it's normal or special summons, you can 1-for-1 into it. Then we have 2 Veilers. Technically, this monster does not need to have a DD monster as its tuner, so you technically can synchro with Veiler and a Leonidas to bring out Cursed King Siegfried. So that's good, and Veiler is mainly used for negation of monster effects, as we all know what a Veiler does in this format. Then we have 1-for-1 at 1, because it summons out your Kepler, or in a real bad situation, Necroslime. Or maybe Veiler if you really need it. Then 1 Ragnarok, because it's Ragnarok, 2 Twin Twister to hopefully utilize Swirl and Necroslime without minusing, so that's good, and it's good in the Pendulum era. Then we have triple Dark Contract with the Gate. This is our other search. This is our search for DD monsters, which is great. And it's a tank, I would say tanky, but tanky gets it on activation. This doesn't gain on activation, so it can be Ghost Ogre, which is annoying. But apart from that, it's always a good card, it's a continuous, and you can keep doing it every turn. And all Dark Contracts have the mandatory effect of once per turn during your standby phase, you take 1000 damage. Which you can negate, and there are ways of stopping that with Leonidas and Diarch, and even Siegfried now. But yeah, it's Masochism.deck in that sense, because you really do need this, and you're going to take 1000 damage. Painful. But if you have Diarch, that's going to be a plus. Then we have the Dark Contract with Swamp King. This has been bumped down to 2 in my build from 3 originally, because I love Swamp King, but we have Spiral Slam at 3, and the fusions are slowly not getting as good as their synchros that we have right now. The Exceeds technically do overpower as well, but I prefer fusion over Exceeds generally. But Swamp King is still good for banishing those cards from the graveyard to fusion summon out a monster from your extra deck, which is good. It can bring out multiple and allow you to OTK. It also has the generic polymerization effect too, just in case you didn't realize that. But it's only for fiend types. So you can technically play this in Fluffles, but I generally wouldn't say that would be useful. Yes. And finally, on last spell, we have the new Dark Contract with Yamakai. Yamakai is one of my favourite cards in the game, mainly for the artwork, because that's King of the Yamakai, absolutely beautiful. Not to mention this colored in artwork is amazing. Konami outdid yourself there. And it has Pitch Dark Dragon and Dark Blade, so giving a little bit of storyline for the Ultimate King himself, so that's good. And its effects are quite nice, to be honest. It can allow you to Pendulum Summon a lot more effectively in this deck, because you can tie 1 DD Pendulum monster in your graveyard or in your extra deck and place it in your Pendulum scale. You can only use 1 of each effects per turn. So that slows down the utility, so you can't go instant Pendulum, but it gives it a nice incremental increase, doesn't power creep too much, and it always has the generic 1000 damage effect. But it's mainly a one-off. I tried it at 2 and 3, it clogged at 3, it was still cloggy at 2. 1 seems to be good enough because I can just search it out if I need it. Then onto the traps. They play a minimalistic trap lineup. Could technically play Denko Seka, but you do want your normal summons, so I go for this over that. So we have 1 Dark Contract with the Witch, originally 2 in my build, and originally with Seal Mistake, which I'll go into in a second. Dark Contract basically can destroy 1 card on the field, target 1 card on the field, and destroy it by discarding a DD or Dark Contract card from your hand. which is great. And its second effect is while all fiend types gain 1000 attack points during your opponent's turn only. So that's good as well. Nice defense, make those Keplars not as weak with 0 attack points, make that Beowulf a 4k beatstick, make Kali Yuga 4-5, just so incredible powerful in that card. And it also loads your graveyard with Swirl Slime or Necro Slime depending on what you're sending. So that's good. And it can kill itself in case you are about to take 1000 damage and you only have 1000 or lower life points. Then we have 2 Goes and Match. Goes and Match is a replacement to Rivalry Warlords. I originally was playing Rivalry, but Goes and seems to be more effective in the current meta than Rivalry, mainly because Monarchs are a threat, and although they do have a lot of corresponding attributes, they do need Idea and Irreverse to go into something like Aether, and that's one of each attributes, and that's going to be problematic. And Goes and Match did prove to be that powerful, and it's a good floodgate against like Pepe because they have multiple attributes. So that's a 2 of in deck, although it did turn out to be cloggy sometimes when I drew 2 at the same time. But yeah, it's kind of needed in the deck to make it viable against annoying decks like meta decks. And I'll just quickly go into Seal Mistake because this is Mistake of Steel as it's now called. Yes. No. Where is this Seal Mistake? Full search. Where the hell? I cannot find it for the life of me now. There it is. Contracts with Errors now. So this is a Trapstun for the deck. You can run Vanti's Emptiness in the deck and then use Trapstun to nullify it for that turn, and then still holds problematic things for your opponent, which I've seen people do before. But it's more of a side deck card for me now because I've just got so much monsters in the deck that I can run. I don't really need my errors anymore, so it's more of a side deck card, and I probably use it as a 2 or a 3 off because it's a great continuous reliquary for when you need it, so you can help with using the Witch as well. So yeah, onto the extra deck. We have, for the Exceeds, we have 1 Evil Swarm Nightmare. You can see a lot more play as Fiend types see more play in general, or Dark Exceeds see more play in general. When your opponent special summons a monster, you can detach 1 Exceed material, chain a monster to face down the defense position. So that can annoy people who are summoning out Castell or stuff like that don't have quick effects. So it's a good defense, and it's a Fiend type, so you can summon it under restrictions of Force or under restrictions of Night Howling, except this one you can't summon it under this, unfortunately. It's annoying, but yeah, DDs have to have restrictions. Then 1 King Kaiser, the Wave King Kaiser. This was originally 2 of, but I dropped it down to 1. I think here maybe bumping it back up to 2. Maybe take out one of the Imogens, maybe, because I don't use Imogen as much nowadays, because we got Siegfried. But Kaiser is still a brilliant card. It requires 2 Fiend types that are level 4. And during your player's turn, which is a quick effect, you can detach 1 XP material at the end of the battle phase, especially summon any monsters that were destroyed this turn, not by battle. It can be by card effect as well, so that's good if you're about to do a Regeki, Dark Hole on yourself. So that's good. And you take 1000 damage for each monster that's special summoned by this effect during your next standby phase. So pinch of salt, but if you have the Arc on the board, you're going to gain a hell of a lot of life points. And its second effect, which I've been using a lot more commonly now, is that when it's sent to the graveyard, it doesn't miss timing because it's an if effect. You can add 1 Dark Contract from your deck to your hand, which is great. It's sent from the field to the graveyard, I should say, not detached as material. So you can start gaining pluses from, say, tributing Kaiser to gain Ragnarok's banishment effect. So yeah, a lot of good things can be done with that. So search out Gate most likely. Then we have 1 DDD Marksman King Tell. This can rank up on top of Kaiser, so that's good. And it has the effect of once per turn during your player's turn, when you take any effect damage this turn, detach 1 Exceed material, target 1 face of monster on the field, it loses 1000 attack, then inflict 1000 damage to your opponent. So great! Its opponent reduce until they are removed from the field, so that's also good as well. You can do it on your advanced turns, nice as well. And if this card sent from the field to the graveyard, send one DD or dark contract for card from your deck to the graveyard, so load up your graveyard with slimes. Very good. Then one number 11 Big Eye, I've had times where I needed this, and I kept it in for that reason. Dragon Stack has been dropped, unfortunately, or Flare Metal as I was about to put in the deck. Then 1DD King Duo Dawn King Kali Yuga. Kali Yuga is Heavy Storm and can negate effects on the field for the rest of the turn. So that's very vicious, and it can also add your dark contracts from your graveyard to your field by detaching exceed materials, but you will only be using like one Heavy Storm then and one dark contract regain from that. So it's quite good. And this Heavy Storm effect is during your player's turn. It's a 3/5 beat stick at the end of the day, so good. It's very good. Then the synchro options. 1 DDD Alexander, King of the Gales, which I really don't like anymore. I've never played it. I think I've only played it once actually, and I know the combo. I know the combo where you summon out like Timujin, or I think you summon out Gale King and then you summon out Timujin. They both reborn to level 4s. Go over for Kaiser. You got 3 beat sticks on the board, which is nice, and they have varying effects. This one is the only one that doesn't have a graveyard effect out of those 3, which means it's less used probably, but it has the non-restriction of being non-summonable monsters tutoring for this effect. So if a DD monster is normal or special summoned, except from this card, you can target one level 4 or lower DD monster, special summon it from your graveyard. So it's good. Very good indeed, but I generally don't go into this combo. Then we have the new boss monster of the deck. Technically, in my circumstances, I generally want to go for this as soon as possible. It's a brilliant card. It's called DDD Cursed King Siegfried. An absolutely beautiful spectacle of a monster. It requires 1 tuner and 1 non-tuner DD monster. So even if Ouroboros is used as a generic scale, you would need a DD monster to combo it to bring out Siegfried. So that's problematic. But Siegfried, nonetheless, is a brilliant card. During your player's turn, you can target one face of spell trap card on the field, negate the effect until the next standby phase. So you can basically negate Regeki, as it's a quick effect. It can chain to that, so it has that hot abyss effect from Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss. But except it cannot stop monsters. If it could stop monsters, this would be absolutely brilliant. But it's only stops spells traps, so it's there. And when this card is destroyed by battle or card effect and sent to the graveyard, gain 1000 life points for each dark contract card you control, so regain your life points is very brilliant, and it's a mandatory card effect, so say you have 4, you gain 4k life points from its destruction. Absolutely brilliant. Absolutely love that card for that effect as well. And then 1 Crimson Blader for when you need to stop your opponent. Normal or special summoning that's level 5 or higher pesky monsters. So it can disturb prominence and stuff like that. And then we on to the fusion side. We have 2 Blaze King Timujin, or as it's being renamed, I believe it's called now, like Blaze King Genghis, which I don't like the name change. It'll always be Timujin to me. When a DD monster on your side of the field is special summon except this card, you can special summon 1 DD monster from your graveyard, which can combo brilliantly with Ragnarok if you have 2 DD monsters you want to special summon from your graveyard. It also has a secondary effect of when it's destroyed by battle, or if this card is destroyed by an opponent's card effect in your possession, you can target 1 Covenant card in your graveyard, add that target to your hand. So that's brilliant, because you can then restore your dark contracts. So that's good in a sense. I'm sorry, I'm yawning in that. And then we have triple DDD Oracle King Diak. This really isn't going to drop to lower than 3 in the deck because it is brilliant. It is really needed in the deck. It just has the base effect that any effect that would inflict damage to your opponent makes it an increase. So summon this against the Burn Duelist. How the hell are they going to stop you except if they have a Fiendish Chain or a Veiler? So that's brilliant. I absolutely love it for that effect. And you can mean 4,000 life point gain if you have like 4 of these on the board. So that's very good in that sense. It's a 2800 monster deck that allow you to go into Big Eye with your Leonidas. Also another good advantage. And then we have the new DDD Dragon Slayer King Beowulf, which is a pseudo Kali Yuga. It can inflict piercing damage for any DD monster, so that's great. It's a 3000 beat stick, it's level 8. And once per turn during your standby phase, you can destroy all spells and traps in each player's spell and trap zones. So that is good. I don't know if it can kill pendulum spells, because it says spells and traps specifically, so I'm not sure about that. But anyway, it's still a good heavy storm for the deck. And then finally, one DDD Wave Oblivion King Kaiser Ragnarok. Such a mouthful, but it is an absolutely brilliant card because it requires 2 DDD monsters, which is the right amount of restrictions it needs if it was just normal 2 DD monsters that were DD, not DDD. Too many Ds. But it would mean it could be broken, but it isn't. It's a brilliant card nonetheless. When it attacks, once per turn, you can target one other DD or Dark Contract card you control, return to your hand, and then equip one face-up monster your opponent controls to this card, except the battle monster, which will cause a redeclaring of the attack. Which means if they have 2 monsters, you can, and say one can't be targeted by card effects, you can equip that monster, and then you can beat down the other one with that monster's attack added on to the 3200 you already have, which is absolutely brilliant. Very brilliant that it doesn't target. So it also, yeah, I should say, against the original attack as well. So that's brilliant. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this deck profile. A lot of you guys have been asking for this updated deck profile as I've been playing it throughout the weeks, and I do enjoy DDDs. I am very happy with the support eventually coming into the TCG. Wish it was sooner, but yeah, this is more OCG. With the TCG support we have right now, is going to be problematic. It would have to turn to something like Clown DDDs, which isn't going to be something enjoyable for me. But so when the new support comes out and this structure deck, I will be so happy to use this as my fun deck. So yes, I hope you enjoyed this. Please leave your comments below with your suggestions for the deck or suggestions for my channel in general. Please like, subscribe if you enjoyed this and want to see further content. If you want to deal with me at DevPro, hit me up when I'm online. And thank you for watching. Mataran signing out.